Motion passes.
We'll move to citizen comments. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the Board of Commissioners about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we have one presentation from the African American Correctional Officer 2010 State of the Association Address by Sylvester Porchia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the African American Correctional Officers Association, its members and executive staff, it is indeed a privilege to stand before the board once more to present the 2010 State of the Association Address, Perception is Reality. Last year, as the newly elected president, I stood amidst this board acknowledging and detailing our newly elected executive staff goals and vision for our near future. 1 year later, I'm humbled to advise the board of our progress as an organization representing Douglas County with its community programs, scholarship awards, and initiatives. It's been a long 2 years as president of the AACOA, balancing efforts to rebuild our membership base, rebrand our name, and reestablish our credibility. I would like to let me first start by thanking the members of the AACOA, our law firm of White Wolf and Jorgensen, our community leaders that showed up today, and the many supporters for your continued support, patience, and understanding as abrupt changes were made to enhance our commitment to excellence. You have not only supported me through the challenges of the AACOA, but many of you supported me through one of the most enduring times of my life. In fact, in November of 2009, I became a victim of my own inequities that tested my faith, attitude, character, and integrity, of which left me exposed on a social site. But like many times before, I was swiftly reminded that 90% of life will deal you setbacks. It is what you do with the other 10% as to how you respond that will dictate who you are as an individual, representing your core values, morals, character, and attitude of accountability. Likewise, I was reminded of the mission of Douglas County and that of our organization of maintaining professionalism, misprovocation, likewise respectability, honesty, and truthfulness. You see, for some of us, these are the core values that has led us to seek an employer like Douglas County and Department of Corrections, an employer that promotes professionalism, confidence, diversity, integrity, ethics, and moral character. Sadly, upon my return to Douglas County, these truths were crippled as I watched my personal situation become a barrage of words through countless news blogs between members of the AACOA and the FOP. Notwithstanding, I became even more determined to lead by example, as this was a bleak reminder of the racial divide and division that still looms and penetrates the walls of our facility. The complexity of these attitudes lies far beyond me, entangled in a web of deception, embedded in our county history, and recorded through countless lawsuits. Yet we still stand, determined to rid corruption, scandal, unjust, unethical, and immoral principles. We stand to bridge the gap of disparity that still exists, along with our desires to foster communication between our administration and the FOP. Communication between the FOP was doomed from the onset through a strained relationship of two presidents' differences. Truth is told, through our own ignorance, we failed our fellow officers that have entrusted us with leadership responsibilities to serve their best interests by working together, communicating, sharing ideas, and recognizing differences that's represented in negotiations, committees, and stewardships. I come to this platform today to make a passionate plea to our brothers of the FOP that we can no longer afford to bow before separation we can no longer afford to worship separation or bow before retaliation, and that this speech is not just intended for the President, Ross Stebbins. It is not addressed to Republicans or Democrats, sick leave or hiring committees, board members, and CAOs of Douglas County. It is addressed to the conscience of self-determination and self-reliance, which are the fundamental elements of achievement. Truth is told, we all bleed blue. And because of this, we all play a pivotal role in the successful resolution of our problems. Thus, we call for a partnership that lifts concern beyond race, class, and affiliation, that creates a unified force of unity. We can no longer view one another as enemies, but rather allies with a sense of purpose that says African American correctional officers are better than their monthly membership dues, that they are better than their yearly pumpkin patch tickets, that they are better than their yearly zoo membership passes, that they too share ideas that should be recognized in negotiations and in stewardships. We haven't forgotten the harsh words or the industrial relation lawsuits and strained relationships, but we have learned to forgive. So let us rise together with a greater readiness and determination so we can move forward in these challenging times to make our union what it should be and what it ought to be. However, our quest for perfection must not stop with the FOP. It is evident that our director, Mr. Jeffrey Newton, since the beginning of his tenure, has systematically assembled a well-educated and polished administration to assist him with carrying out the agenda of creating a more efficient and effective workplace. They have succeeded with their approach by raising our local Nebraska jail standards to that of national accreditation. In addition, they have reinforced the importance of advancement by encouraging higher learning and making it more accessible by building educational partnerships with colleges that afforded the opportunity to come in and teach within our facility. Our administration has also held officers more accountable by demanding more professionalism related to absenteeism that subsequently balances our attrition levels. As a facility, we are better equipped to handle natural disasters and emergency because of our administrative objectives to raise the standards of our training department. Make no mistake about it, their efforts are worthy of applause. Moreover, I want to believe in my theological state of mind that somewhere on Mr. Newton's to-do list there was a check mark, and next to it simply read the word bridge. And although he may have not known prior to his administration what relationship the word bridge will have with his agenda, I'm naive enough to believe that he researched and spoke to past administrators about the underlying issues of Douglas County and that of the Department of Corrections. In fact, someone had to advise him or through his research about the struggles and perceptions of two organizations. And once those perceptions were revealed, I want to believe a conscious effort arose that shows the true essence of leadership with the uncanny ability to utilize experience, structure, discipline, and moral character to unite. However, and unfortunately, despite the director or previous and past administrations, for some reason we have allowed our perceptions to become reality. And as a result, our organization is faced with the grim reality that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now, and procrastination is not an option. We must move past indecision to action as we face a bold administration that leads through fear rather than respect, power without compassion, might without mortality, and strength without sight. We must build a stronger network of alliances that share our same mission as an organization. The livelihood of our careers is dependent on our actions. While I have great respect for our administration, they believe their progressive agenda is best for correctional staff. But I stopped by here to tell you our well-being rests on truths and cannot be secured by abandoning our principles. In order for equality, justice, and prosperity to prevail, we must together structure rules and regulations, policies and procedures that enforce things such as rights, contracts, honesty, and transparency. Our organization has reached a boiling point of distrust, frustration, and uncertainty, and our time to speak is now. Despite one's opinion, we are not a social club. We were formed and founded due to discrimination and inequality of minority officers. 10 years later, we continue to speak with the vocation of agony, and the multitude of our circumstances are wavering as minority officers still face areas of opportunity involving job assignments, promotions, and career advancement. We face the unethical balance of our hiring practices with over 95% of our recruitment classes white male or female. We face illegal tactics from our Internal Affairs Department, entrusted and trained to maintain neutrality, yet negates from the fundamental elements of due process. We face budget cuts that saw all readjustments affect minority sergeants and officers, most with over 15 years of experience. Since my presidency, we've seen since December 5th, 2006, some of our best sergeants targeted because of spiteful, vindictive, and personal agendas. We've observed termination involving drugs and sexual misconduct and scandal within our administration department. We've seen officers wrongfully terminated because of ignorance of self-gratification. We've seen minority officers terminated over tit-for-tat computer policy in favor of white officers still employed with similar violations. We've seen several cases involving minority officers over the last 2 years related to First Amendment rights, breach of First Amendment rights, wrongful termination, and discrimination. We've seen this administration create more management positions than any other administrator in the past 10 years. Despite popular belief, officer morale is down as officers feel neglected, abandoned, and dejected, fearful of this dictatorship attitude. In fact, when suggesting your next cuts, we'd like to take part of that dialogue as we reevaluate our core values as a department, because there's some ethics violations buried within our administration, and enough is enough. Today, I boldly proclaim a state of emergency for our organization and every officer that sees hope and solidarity with the burning desire to transform these revelations into afterthoughts. I refuse to believe that this is the reality of Douglas County and Department of Corrections. I hope this is perception. I hope you hear our plea for justice, our cry for fairness, and our call for equality. You are our last hope. You are our elected officials. Now comes the long and bitter but beautiful struggle to recapture our destiny by boldly challenging the status quo and unjust mores that has led us to this moment. We can no longer hide behind our politics or our degrees or our freshly painted accreditation walls. We have a crisis within Douglas County Department of Corrections. We can sit here and continue to ignore these various issues, or we can choose to remind ourselves of the individuals who are the backbone of this company and who every day I see selfishly place themselves in danger by being exposed to communicable diseases and assaults. The choice is ours. But if we choose right, we will be able to transcend Douglas County into a symphony of brotherhood that promotes our model of an equal opportunity employer. If we choose right, our moral character will override our political perspective with the unequivocal goal to transform and transcend Douglas County. If we choose right, the same individuals who have been in stewardship positions for years that have helped create these perceptions will stand up and become a part of the solution to solve them. If we choose right, the glass ceiling that the notion the FOP is for whites and the AACOA is for blacks will be shattered. If we choose right, we can become oases of hope and motivation for every county department experiencing similar issues. However, we cannot get there by ourselves, but rather together, collectively and united, we must remember these words. Together, we make a whole. Individually, we become a part. Let us strive together to make a whole lot of difference. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Sylvester. It's a lot to absorb what you have spoke to us about today. And if you would be so kind, I would actually like a copy of your remarks so I can reread them at my leisure. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. If you do, I would appreciate that. But again, I appreciate you coming before the board and giving us your thoughts.
I'll be more than happy to but hopefully be able to meet with you guys about some of the concerns that we have.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I also appreciate the support of the individuals sitting behind you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to the public hearing. Item A, Class C K 86900.